So my goal is still making it easier for people to develop single page apps or even single page apps with real-time collaborations. So this is my project, and I'm going to show, maybe I'm not sure if it's your it's moving towards your goal, but this is my project that trying to make things simpler, and the basis is React and the Clojure script, but actually I'm using my own language. If you read the code, it's very few parentheses. And the core idea is still from Elm and Redux. You have in Redux you have store, you have the updater or reducer, and you have actions and view. These are the parts, and you can create a React app, and even it's no difference from Elm, just with more types. And since in my situation I want to support very simple real-time apps, so I have to what I did is to split the store into two parts. One part is the database part, is maintaining the source of truth, and the other part is the store, the client store, actually maintaining the store, the data that it will use to render the virtual DOM. These are the two parts, and since I have to synchronize store from server to the client, I need to use the patch algorithms. It's mostly like in this graph, and I have maintaining the database on server, the data on server, and it's using JSON diff patch. It first creates a store on server side, and it's diff patching for the changes and sending to the client. And the client then maintains the store like in React apps, just diff patch. So this is the pattern. I think it might be very. I think it could be very simple, because in React you can write actions and updater, reducer, and you know how to use JAX to write virtual DOM. So you create a React app, but in this way, I can create a real-time app. It's just a real-time app, like creating normal single-page app. So I think in this way it could be really simple, and actually I think learning SQL might complicate things, because it's going to interact with another language and interact with another a database that works differently from Clojure, from JavaScript. It's a totally new thing, a new thing. And there's some difference, because I didn't learn SQL first. I just learned JavaScript and all the way down to Clojure script and to Elm and the other languages. So I think that doing SQL might be difficult, and in SQL you still have to like handling escapings by yourself, and even join the data by yourself, which we normally have many tricks in Clojure for doing all that. So I just think it would be easier without SQL involved. So if we don't have a database here, how do we manage data? Like in Clojure script, we have hash map for data, maybe a very deeply nested hash map with all data inside. And then when we want to access to data, we should get insert in and even update in functions to change the data. Yeah, it can really handle very deep data. You can pass arbitrary steps and arbitrary levels to this argument, and change data that's deeply inside. So you can still think it's like a very huge JSON object, just in Clojure, in persistent data, immutable data. And also you have in UI states. This might be different in my implementation because I have UI states in memory. Taking this for example, why render an app? Render app, it's taking the local states and taking store. So these are two parts. The store is synchronized from server, and the states is maintained locally. So they are different parts, and the store and the state tree is maintained in memory in current process, in current browser. So it could be fast. And in my opinion, if I want to maintain animations, or even just maintain where can I find, like maintain if I want to maintain the input states, I should put it in the local memories instead of the database. All this should be the temporary states, the component local states should live inside the stage and should be kept in memory instead of sending to database. There's another issue to consider, because one thing important to me is that like demonstrating in Elm architecture, hot code replacement should be very important part of the goal of making UI programming easier. So with HMR we have a mental model for integrating and creating and updating and polishing the app towards state we want. It could be very complicated for us to think to hypothesis if we have to calculate what the next state will be after we refresh the window. It could be very simple if we can just update current state, and if we can change the code and the current state update with HMR, it could be really easier for people to understand. So I think this is the key part. We can make things easier. Okay. And also the problem how to query for changes. It's not a querying for changes anymore. It's when data is changed, like when I dispatch data on server, it's reset on the states. And let's see the function reset real, run server port. No, random loop is calling the random loop to detect if the state is changed. If it's changed, it will update the store, update the data, the database, and trying to sync all clients. When it's sync clients, it's calculating the new store, and it's dipping for changes and send the change to each client. So this is what we do, what I do in my project. The code is running on server side. It's using normal functions for constructing the new state, new store, just like this. It's just a function, taking that like a closure function, just taking like some Lisp. Anyway, and it's using case for detecting which page the user is currently in. It's reading, and if it's in the article, it's going to send back it's going to provide the data of the article, and as well as some real-time interactions like users and members and focuses. I'm not sure if all these are used, but some data passed to the client. And also, if you are in the profile page, you have data for profile. So no SQL is involved. It's just functions, normal functions. It's like using React, but for data, to synchronize data from server to all the clients. I think this is very simple because you don't have to learn another language to integrate with another database for all that. It's just normal data like in Clojure. And the demo, actually I have a demo here when maintaining the, I'm not sure if it's displayed correctly. So this is the demo. When I switched to the page, I got changes on router data for the new page, the data of the new page, and as well as some other session changes. Also, if I switch page and change the name of this demo, is still going to diff patch and change the title of this well, no matter which page is in. So also I'm going to when I go into this post, my name is listed here. And I'm going to update to this, and it's sending data back for the new states, and it's closed. Time count. Okay. So this is demo. You may read the data like data is array of changes. The algorithm is not optimized, so it's sending too many keys. It should be reduced, should be compressed. Anyway, so what else? The component for rendering the updated functions for updating the host state. I think it's not much to show here. Not much to show. Client just code handling WebSockets and dirty logics. I need to claim that the code is in my own language, which is a dialect of Clojure. It's not with parentheses, but it's actually Lisp. It's very Lisp. Okay, and for performance, it could be slow if the network is slow. I have no idea. And the real problem is the way how it's dipping. When it's trying to sync to clients, it first creates the new store based on the store and the database and the session, and then it diffs for changes. And these two parts, this step is going to consume very much memory, and this part is going to eat CPU. So it's not going to be very fast. So ideally, I could use a memo of call function, which is my own memorization for all this. Since you know this, all these functions in Clojure are trying to be pure functions without side effects like modifying data, so I can safely cache them and reuse the results for performance. But you can still see here, I still need to construct the new store because the database, the reference to this database changes every time when there's changes in database. It's the knowledge of Clojure data. But anyway, I have to create all this again, and even with memorizations, I can only reduce very tiny parts of the data. Like sometimes I'm going to cache the articles, or sometimes I'm going to cache the profile. But it's not too much thing I can cache. So it will cost the memory, and for diffing, it's always slow. I can try to maintain the the stable of the references, so stability of references, but it could be slow, still could be slow. So, and the real problem in the core is it's hard for scaling because all the things to be inside a process, because all the data has to be in the same process, and the way servers are being fast is you can have one database and connect it with multiple servers for balancing, and then it can be faster. But in my solution, it's not going to be multiple servers. It's just going to be a single server holding all the database, holding all the states. You cannot scale the database to multiple servers, so that's the bottleneck, and it cannot be scaled. And the other problem is, in databases, the data are actually compressed into bytes and organized into the B plus tree. But in Clojure, so when you put data in Clojure, it's very large objects, so it consumes a lot of memory, so it's not fast. So so this is my solution, and ideally is following this graph, and you can swap this with JSON, with Eden, and with other data formats, and do your own diffing, even swap the default gradients. It's all okay, and even swap all the underlying framework, like using React, using other frameworks, just using virtual DOM. So this is my solution. So in the end, I think this thing will make building apps easier than SQL. But it's slow. Yeah, it's slow. It's very slow. Okay, thanks for watching.